Hello and welcome to thatrepairguide.com. This is the first video in a set of videos which is designed to help you increase your computer performance without doing anything expensive like installing more memory or fitting a new processor. This is entirely aimed at saving you money without taking it to a repair technician who is pretty much going to do exactly what we're going to do right now. So as I say, this is the first video in a set. This video will be dealing with a little utility in Windows called msconfig, and what that utility does is it allows you to deselect things that are starting every time you switch on your computer. So for example, I have a free antivirus and firewall software on this computer called Zone Alarm. The computer loads that every single time it starts, along with a few other things, and that's a good thing because I want my computer to be safe and protected every time I go on the internet. I don't want to have to manually start that every time. However, there are many programs out there that will attempt to ask Windows to load it every single time. And if you've only got 10 items being loaded every time, that may not be enough to cause you to think your computer's running slowly. However, if your installation is a year old or maybe a couple of years old and you use it quite a lot, you may have 20, 30, 40, sometimes as many as 50 items that are trying to load at the beginning. And this can cause a severe reduction in performance, leading to increased load times, and also with 50 or 60 things trying to occupy your computer whilst you're using it, it can cause general performance to decrease as well. And so we're going to look at that utility now. This is also valid for Windows XP, Vista, Windows 7. I haven't tested whether or not this command is still in Windows 8. I imagine it will be though. Okay, so in Windows 7, we go to the Start menu and we type msconfig. That's msconfig. And we right click and run as administrator. So that's the utility loaded. If you are running Windows XP, then you can also do it from the Run menu. So again, you would go to the Start menu and click Run, and you will end up with a box like this. So you can just type msconfig in there, and that will allow you to run it. For Windows 7, we can do it this way. So this is what you'll be greeted with this utility. There are several tabs up here. The only one we're actually interested in is this Startup tab. I will explain the other ones briefly though. The General tab should, on your computer, look like that, the normal startup. And what this means is the way that your computer is now is considered to be normal. It's not selective, and it's not in diagnostic mode either. That's completely fine, and we don't need to make any changes there. Boot. This dictates boot loading options. So, for example, if you have dual boot system, you'll find extra entries in here. Maybe you're running Linux as well as Windows side by side. You will have several entries in this here. You can also change other options here, but again, these are more appropriate to a diagnostics mode or multi-boot mode. Services. Services control things that happen in the background and wouldn't necessarily be present in a task manager. So they're not processes that can necessarily be ended, but they can be started and stopped. So for example, probably the two most prevalent services that you would find running here would be the Windows Wireless Configuration Manager, and that will control your ability to connect to wireless networks. If that is stopped, as you will see here, there's one that's been stopped, you will not be able to do so. There's also Windows Audio. This controls all your sounds, etc, etc, and there's a whole bunch of them in there. There's a lot. We haven't got time to go through them. Startup. Okay, this is what we're interested in. So you can see in there I don't have many entries. This is actually about 3 months old, this installation of Windows, and it's a works computer, so I am taking reasonably good care of it and not installing too many crazy things. That being said, there are some items on here that I don't use and I could probably disable. The trick here is to make sure that what you're disabling is actually safe to do so. Many things that you want to take off are actually things that you will probably need. So for example, anything usually that has the manufacturer as the Microsoft Corporation, you're probably going to want to leave. Things by other parties, however, are a different story. So for example, I have iTunes here at the bottom. This means that every time my computer loads, it will load an instance of iTunes, a shortcut to iTunes if you like, and that's going to have an adverse effect on load times. So I no longer have an iPhone, so I will remove that. Funbox. Now this is a utility I installed to connect to a specific phone. I can't remember the exact nature of it, but I know I don't use it anymore. So again, I'm going to take that off. Now I could simply uninstall these things, but then at a later date I may choose, for example, at a later date to run iTunes, but not to have it load every time, and that's a real good advantage with this. I don't have to uninstall things, I can just simply switch them off from being loaded every single time my computer starts. There's a Download Accelerator Plus. I installed this with the promise of it increasing my download speeds, and it didn't really have much of an effect, so I'm going to take that off too. An Adobe Updater, I'm not too sure what that is. Let's take a look. I think that's an update utility, possibly for an Adobe Reader. I don't think I need that to load every time. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, that's a printer. That one is my antivirus. The Photoshop, so we'll keep that. I think that's listed with Photoshop, so I'm going to keep that too. Microsoft, yeah, let's keep that. And Daemon Tools, yeah, I use that as well. So once you're confident that you've disabled the things that you really genuinely don't need to be loaded every time, and you can go on the internet and research what some of these things are as well. So for example, I could go into Google. There are websites as well which allow you to search for running processes to see what is running and what the nature of them is. So once you're happy with what you've disabled, you click OK. It allows you to restart, and the next time your computer does restart, you will load much quicker because you've disabled various items starting. Again, if you do find that you are having problems with things not working after you've done it, you can go back in. Again, just to the start menu, type msconfig, right click, run as administrator, and you can re-enable that. That's the good thing about this tool, is that you've not done any permanent damage. You can undo basically what you've done and re-enable them as startup devices. So yeah, that's it. Like I say, this is the first video in a set designed to help you understand and take control of your computer speed issues. My name's Chris, and this is for thatrepairguide.com.